Hi there. Thanks for taking the time to watch this screencast. This is Pat. And before I get started, I want to just say, commend you guys. You did a fantastic job on the client course this summer and a fantastic job on your classes. This summer was a ton of work. And by and large, the accelerated online program ceases to amaze me. You guys continue to do fantastic work, so well done. Now, enough of the warm fuzzies, right? ITNET 111, 112 are being taught as a single class this semester, and they're being taught by Tony and I. We are using a single test-out product for the course. We could try and use two, but I'll be honest with you, the test-out product that we're using is a very, when it was designed, it was actually designed by test-out to be two courses, and as opposed to just having having you do a subset of those activities and then a subset of the ones from ITNET 111 or whatever, as opposed to trying to combine two test-out products, Tony and I talked about it, and we decided to use a single test-out product for both courses. There's a lot of work there, as you'll see, so basically you're going to treat this class like a 6-credit course. Okay. I thought what I would do is just take a look at the announcements, take a look at the syllabus, and that should give you an idea of what's in store for this semester. So you're familiar with Test Out, obviously, from the summer. This is the product that we're using right here. And as far as graded activities go, there'll be a few assignments. We'll take a look at those. I am going to have you do about a dozen labs this semester, and you will take screenshots showing me, at various steps along the way to show me that you had done the lab activities. We're also going to look at how much time you spent in the lab sim product. That'll come into your final grade. The lab sim itself makes up about half of your grade, and then finally the certification exam. Just like this summer, you'll be required to take the certification exam. Actually, everybody passed the certification exam that took it, so well done. But if you do, this is going to be a harder certification exam. But that'll make up like 20% of your grade. We'll look at the exact percentages in a bit. And just like this past summer, if you pass a certification exam, that's an automatic A for the course. So there you have it. As far as getting started with the class, you're doing it, but I always have students start with assignment number 1 and then watch this orientation screencast. What's due coming up September 9th? Assignment 1 is due, as well as the first 2 chapters out of your lab sim. And again, just like the summer, all that we're taking a look at are the quizzes at the end of each section, as well as all the simulations or hands-on activities. I do not look at if you watched all the videos or not. So let's get started, and let's take a look at, let's go to the syllabus, and eventually we'll end up hitting the assignment 1 in the orientation video. What? I was dumb. Of course I'm not going to talk about the orientation video because you're watching it. I have no excuse. I've already had a couple cups of coffee, so I'll attribute that just to a senior moment. All right, so here's the syllabus. I've got, Tony, you have our email addresses. There they are again. As far as office hours go, Tony I think is pretty much by appointment. He is nearer the Mequon campus. But he does have classes, in various other of our campuses. So if you want to meet with him, just shoot him an email. He'll meet with you. I have my office hours posted on my webpage here. So Tuesdays at the West Campus from 4 to 6. Thursdays from 11 to 1 at the Milwaukee campus. Your group seems pretty much self-sufficient. I've had very few face-to-face meetings with you. But again, if you'd like to get together sometime and meet, I'd love to have you stop on down. So this is relating to both ITNET 111 and 112. I almost should change there we go. There's a lot of content being covered this semester. If you just look at the highlights here: Active Directory, group policy, high availability, virtualization, file and printing, storage services, network services. It's a lot of material, and again, because there is so much content, Tony and I decided just to focus on this as opposed to trying to bring in a second product, which actually had a lot of overlap with this material. So you're getting a lot of content this semester. you're going to have time to make sure that you understand it, and we also built in those labs to reinforce what you're learning in the simulation, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We've already talked about the test out product. You're familiar with how to buy it. It makes sense to buy it directly from test out, or you can go to a bookstore if you want to. They just charge you an extra 20 or 30 bucks. You all have machines that are capable of running, virtual machines, but basically, sometimes this semester you'll be running 3 VMs at one time. So, the 16 gigabytes of RAM is nice. If for some reason you're trying to get by on a machine with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, it might work. You're just gonna maybe only be able to run 2 computers at a time. So you'll have to you might need to tweak some things. There's if you want to look at what's going to be covered out of the test out product, we can just jump to it real quick. And let's see here. I can look at the exam objectives. Let's just see if there's a course outline link in here. There it is, view course outline. All right, but anyways, here, before we get started, so there are 85 simulations. That's a good amount. There's 95 quizzes. That's enough to keep you busy. And there's a certification exam along with all these videos and demonstrations and stuff. So there's a lot of material here in this test out product. If you want to look at the course outline on your own sometime and just kind of skim over it, you'll be surprised at how much is being covered. I'm always amazed, even in like chapter 1, I feel like they've been known, the test out's been kind of hitting the ground running and covering a lot of material. So the first week you're going to cover the first 2 chapters of the test out. That might be a little bit too much, but again, it's treated as a 6-credit course, so there's going to be a lot of work to do. Okay. Here we go. This is the most important part of the syllabus and the class calendar, and let's take a look at it. Class officially starts on September 1st. That's a Sunday. I just kind of moved everything to Mondays. It's kind of silly having a class start on a Sunday in my opinion, but anyways, if you want to get started on that Sunday, you can. So if I look at this, how to read this, during the first week, September 2nd to the 9th, you're going to be covering 2 chapters of the test out. And along with that, there's going to be an assignment. Assignment number 1 you're going to do. So what's due on September 9th? Assignment number 1 and test out chapters 1 and 2. Let's just take a quick look at assignment 1. Assignment number 1. Just like this summer, it's just a to-do list sort of. So watch the orientation screencast. You've already done this. I have you just, if you want a refresher on VMware, this is just reminding you that I do have some videos on my website on VMware Workstation. I've got one on some of the basic skills in VMware. You'll become very familiar with VMware this semester as you work through the labs that we've written. And so how do I keep talking about these labs. Let's just take a look at a couple of them. And I'll jump between this assignment and the syllabus. If I look at the syllabus on the rightmost column, I have all of our labs laid out. So I haven't counted them, but there's about a dozen there. And it doesn't really matter which one we choose. I'll click on the first one here. The lab setup assignment it's almost like lab 0. It's kind of what you did this summer, except that with the lab setup assignment there. But at the end of doing this activity, you're going to have downloaded my 3 virtual machines, and you'll have 3 VMs that can see each other, 2 servers and a client, and I've kind of laid out their IP addresses. Part of this assignment, you're exposed to snapshots, and they're just amazing. So essentially what you can do with a snapshot is you can take a virtual machine and, just like its name implies, take a snapshot of it. So at a certain point in time, you can just capture the state of that computer. So a lot of our labs that we've written, they start off by saying, take your VMs, all of them, all 3 of them, and set them to snapshot, whatever, 80 installed, Active Directory installed. Once all 3 computers have been restored to that point in time when Active Directory is installed, then you're prepared to do the lab activity. So in this assignment, after you've downloaded your VMs, I've got a document on that. So you should have 3 virtual machines that you can run. Let's see, what do we have you doing here? We have you setting we have you setting server 1 to snapshot AD installed, server 2 to AD installed, and probably the client. Maybe we don't have you doing anything with the client, so I lied a little bit. Yeah, you're just doing stuff with server 1, server 2 in this activity, but you are just setting them up to a known state and then just running through some activities with them. And once you've done this activity, run through it, you answer a few questions that you post on our discussion board. So that's the first lab. And now, how does that tie? Let's just, so like, how do I verify that you've done this? I mean, granted, for this activity, I can just look at your posts in the discussion board, but there are a lot more labs this summer as well. So what we have you do in the first assignment is make a copy of this lab screenshot document. So you make a copy of it, you rename it, put some information in here, and then I have links to all the labs that you'll be doing this semester. So as you go through lab 0, that lab setup assignment, I feel like I need to rename this to make it align exactly with the syllabus. But anyways, at the end of step 10, I want you to add a screenshot showing that your ping was successful. At the end of step 12, I want you to add another screenshot showing me another ping. So basically, I mean, it's nothing like super technical, but I'm just verifying that you did this lab activity. So in the syllabus, again, when I tell you to do this lab setup assignment, and as you run through it, as you run through the lab activity, wherever it is, click, 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 click. As you run through it, along the way, I think I tell you at step 2, I don't even know where. I may need to update some things a little bit here. Oh, step 10 and step 12. So at the end of step 12, take a screenshot. At the end of step 10, take a screenshot. At the end of step 12, take a screenshot. So end of step 10, do this, take a screenshot, add it to your document. After step 12, take a screenshot, add it to your document. So your document's going to grow. Right now, this document is it's 18 pages. Probably by the end of the semester, it'll be 50 pages, 80 pages, depending on how big your screenshots are. Let's take a look at the syllabus some more here. So a little bit later, a few weeks down the road, you're going to do 2 more labs: server core install and remote management. Again, these are all linked. If you want, you can just click on it to go to the lab, or actually from this document here, it's the same thing, same link. So this is an 18-page lab. You're going to run through it. Nope, didn't get there. One more time. There we go. That looks right. So this is a 9-page lab. Some of these labs are like 30, but for the server core install, what do? You take your virtual machines and you set them to the no OS snapshot. So if we kind of jump back and look at that lab setup assignment that you did, there's a screenshot in there that was kind of good. Yeah. So you're going to take your machines and set them to this no OS screenshot right here. And just like its name implied, it's basically what you're doing is you're restoring the state of that virtual machine to when there was no operating system installed. All right, I've got some additional reading if you want to just check it out on your own here. And then you just run through the lab, and you can tell they're pretty thorough. I think this lab, what it's having you do is just install an operating system. Just install Server 2016. Now, the beauty of these labs are, even let's say for some reason that this gives you a problem, Pat, I can't get it. The nice thing about snapshots is that when you do the next lab, it doesn't really matter what you did in the previous labs because you're always taking your computers to a known point in time. So before you start any lab, you're always resetting your machines to a certain snapshot. So, in a traditional class, the problem is, you start lab number 1 and then 2 builds on it, then 3 builds on it, then 4 builds on it. And if you get halfway through the class and something goes wrong, I mean, I've seen some instructors do this. They just tell a student, well, your virtual machines became corrupt. Just start back at lab 1 and get back up to where the rest of the class is. That's painful. So with snapshots, you don't have to do that. Before you start a lab, you just set both of your whatever virtual machines you're using to a known point in time or to a known state, to a snapshot, and then you go from there. I did notice one more thing in here too. On occasion, your VMs will become broken. And normally you can just, if the snapshot doesn't fix it, and this is because it's a timing issue in an Active Directory environment. If your client doesn't report back to the domain controller often enough, it basically becomes untrusted, or the domain controller no longer trusts that client, and you have to kind of reestablish that trust. And we do have the steps on how to fix it in this document here. So anyways, you get the idea. So as you run through this lab, the server core install, if I look back at my lab screenshot document, I have you posting a screenshot, 4 screenshots. Step 1, I guess I didn't lay the step number out here, but then at step 5, 8, and 12, you're just grabbing a screenshot and adding it to it. And there you go. So you're going to basically do every lab on your syllabus, and you will add screenshots of those labs to your copy of the lab screenshot document. And that way Tony and I can kind of grade it as the semester goes on and just verify that you're keeping up with the hands-on activities. All right, I can start closing some tabs out here. There we go. If you're wondering why some of these rows are a different color, it's because I'm responsible for the ones that are in white, and Tony is going to be responsible for the ones that are in gray. It doesn't really change any assignments from you, but just that week of the activity, Tony will be kind of communicating with you what you're working on. If there's any gotchas or anything that's particularly important, he'll call that out to you, and so on. So this is our class. You're going to do 2 assignments, assignment 1, and pretty sure there's an assignment 2 somewhere. I guess it's this lab setup assignment. You're going to do the entire test out product, and then you're going to do all the labs in this column here too. Let's keep going on here. As far as the grading breaks down, assignments 1 and 2 are worth 10% of your grade total. The screenshots from the various hands-on labs make up 10% of your grade. That's not that much. I should probably make it more, but it's a lot of work for only 10% of your grade. Again, the idea is that you just do it. We look at how much time you spent in your lab sim product. That's worth 10% of your grade. And the lab sim itself is worth 50% of your grade. So that's all of the hands-on activities and the quizzes. That makes up 50% of your grade. And then finally, the certification exam makes up 20% of your grade. And we've already mentioned before that if you pass the certification exam, it is worth 100% of your grade because you get an automatic A. This is our grade breakdown. This is how we pretty much gauge your time in the lab sim. This is super low. I mean, honestly, you're going to spend more than 40 hours in the product, but if you spend 40 hours, you get full credit. All right, we're almost done. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. This has been, I don't think it's been too bad, but it's still been over 15 minutes, I think. The last part of the syllabus, just read that on your own. It talks about, academic dishonesty. It talks about, incompletes. It, covers a lot of material. I think, Tony and I have been really privileged to be working with you this semester over the last year. And really, if I could summarize a lot of this is that we are going to do our best to take care of you and make sure that the class goes well. I mean, there's obviously some responsibilities on your end too. And our goal is to see you succeed. So this just talks about when things don't work out the way they should. Academic dishonesty, our withdrawal procedures. But again, I feel like you're familiar enough with us that the main thing is when issues arise, come talk to us right away. And then we can resolve them. The worst possible case scenario is we don't hear from you, and then all of a sudden on December 20th or December 16th, the end of the semester, we get an email saying, I didn't get anything done this semester. Then we're dealing with it. So it's a lot better for you to keep in touch with us, let us know how things are going, and it also gives us an opportunity to help you as well. So take the time to read the rest of the syllabus. If you have any questions, let us know. But you're familiar enough with us that you know how we teach, and you know what our expectations are. You know that we value you as students, and we really want to see you succeed in our program. Well, that is it. Thanks for taking the 20 minutes to watch this. And if you have any questions, let Tony or I know. And enjoy what's left of your summer. Thanks. Bye.